going to the NFL Combine in about 8 minutes with a GM and a team on the hot seat right now. They have the number one pick, the Arizona Cardinals. Steve Keim, a former All-ACC player, has got the number one pick. A lot of people think Kyler Murray is the best player for that team. We'll talk about that stuff and other stuff. The NFL Combine, by the way, gets bigger by the year. Arizona now has 63 people in the organization at the Combine. 63 people for one team. It's a big deal. That's why we send cameras and microphones and producers out there, and we'll have them the next couple of days. So last night I went to dinner in Los Angeles and did a little sourcing on the Lakers. Here's what is unavoidable and absolutely true. There is a major power struggle within that organization with a lot of big stars. Jeannie Buss is the owner. She's pro Luke Walton and pro stability. LeBron James is the star. He's not a Luke guy, would rather get his own coach. We'll talk about that somewhere down the road. Magic Johnson's caught in the middle, loves Jeannie and the opportunity she afforded him, and also knows LeBron's happy or this thing doesn't work. You also have Rob Pelinka, who was Kobe Bryant's agent. Kobe still has impact and a voice as a legend that just retired in the building. And then there's Clutch Sports, who has the player, AD, Anthony Davis, the Lakers want. It is a big power struggle. But for a long time in LeBron's career, he just barreled through it because he was that talented. But on the basketball court, there are three stages of LeBron. The first stage was his first 5 years in the league. It was the freight train stage. That's what I kept calling him when I was at the other place, is that LeBron would just barrel through things. He was not a refined basketball player. His freight train stage was defined by one thing, the chase down block. He would do it about once, twice a week, where he would run down the floor, block a shot off the backboard. It'd never been seen before. If I say to you the chase down block, that was the young freight train stage one of LeBron. He did it regularly, chasing good players down, blocking the ball, swatting it off the backboard, the freight train stage. The second stage was the refined offensively LeBron. That was a lot of Miami in the early days in Cleveland. Okay, that was the figured out a three-point shot. A significantly more efficient player. This was a player who didn't waste a lot of motions, had a little freight train in him, but didn't waste energy on that. That was stage two. Stage three of LeBron is the one we're living in now, and I believe the last 2 years in Cleveland. It is the picks his spots LeBron. He doesn't have the freight train in him at all. He is still refined offensively, but it's pick your spots LeBron. And there was a story yesterday from a San Francisco columnist that said, why would any Warriors want to join LeBron James' collapsing kingdom in Los Angeles? And to that, I would say it is not collapsing yet. If Anthony Davis doesn't get delivered, it will be over. Injury, no playoffs, no AD. LeBron's era is over. Officially stamped. But you just have to realize that if you do join LeBron, this is now the LeBron you get. Pick your spot, stage three LeBron. Okay, that's what you get now. Joy Taylor, before we go to Joy, we want to go live to the NFL Combine via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. He's entering his 7th season as the Cardinals GM. Steve Keim started as a scout, was an All-ACC guard, and Steve is joining us. I said, Steve, about 5 minutes ago that I can feel, first of all, I think your division now is the toughest in football. I think you have excellent coaches everywhere. You've got Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jared Goff, established quarterback talents. Do you feel, Steve, some of the pressure outside that is being pushed on your organization and you specifically?
Oh, I mean, I think that no more, Colin, than the pressure that I put on myself every day as a perfectionist. But, I mean, I think it comes with the territory. I think it's something that, you know, your fans don't want to hear, that you're going through a rebuilding phase. Each and every day, you got to continue to put a better product on the field, and you're held accountable for it. And that's what this job's all about. So I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about our new coaching staff, really excited about some of the pieces we have in place, some of the acquisitions we've made this offseason, and I think that we'll continue that through free agency and the draft.
I've always had a theory on the draft that outside of maybe an Andrew Luck or a John Elway, I would always trade my #1 pick to get multiple picks. Generally, a team's at #1 because they got a little rebuilding to do, more good players than one maybe star player. Do you share any of that philosophy that if somebody walked up to you today, Steve, and gave you 4 picks for your 1, would you consider it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question. And the more picks you can acquire, obviously, the more chances you have to hit. We all know this is an inexact science, and it really comes down to once you build your board and you feel comfortable with the vertical part of your board being ranked 1 through 120, it gives you a better visual and an understanding, Colin, of where you feel comfortable of trading back to, where do you still get the right amount of impact with the addition of picks that you've gotten as well. So to me, it's a part of the process. We have 57 days to fix it, to figure it out, and it's extremely exciting because, again, there's a number of different ways we can go, and having the first pick in the draft is something that last year, obviously, I didn't want to be a part of, but as we head into the draft this spring, it's extremely exciting.
About an hour ago or 2 hours ago, I was here in Los Angeles. I saw a quote from you, and people asked you about, you know, Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury and #1 pick and Josh Rosen, and you said Josh Rosen's our guy for now. Now, of course, the media is going to jump on that and go, oh, for now. How do you respond to the people who are going to write headlines and say, hey, Steve, for now, doesn't sound long-term with Josh?
Well, I mean, this is the season for misinformation, so it's a fun part of the process to go through this spring and to hear all the conversation about the first pick. It certainly shows the level of excitement for the National Football League and for our organization. So to me, you know, there's going to be a number of things written. Josh Rosen did a fantastic job for the circumstances he was put in last year, and he was really put in a tough spot, Colin, when you look at the first 7 offensive linemen that we had were all on IR by the end of the season. We didn't have a lot of perimeter talent to throw the football to, and he was going through growing pains. But to me, I thought he did a fantastic job showing me the mental toughness and the physical toughness that it takes to excel at that position.
Could I not, though, Steve, make an argument that the #1 issue with your team is probably offensive line? Rosen is not he's not a mover and shaker athletically. He's a pocket guy, and the way to solve both of those quickly is with a more agile, mobile quarterback, and Kyler Murray fits that. I could make that argument, no?
Well, I mean, I think that that's certainly something you can argue. But again, the one thing that some of these quarterbacks possess that maybe Josh doesn't would be the ability to extend plays. My argument would be, let's try to eliminate having to extend those plays. To me, it's improvising. If we can put a system in place that puts Josh in the right situation to feel comfortable, get the ball out of his hands quickly. Guys like Brady and Breeze and the guys who are having success around the NFL, Peyton Manning in the past, those guys get the ball out extremely quick. They know how to process and see the field. And to me, that's where Josh Rosen can really hurt you, is spinning the football and putting him in an accurate place.
Cliff Kingsbury did not have NFL experience. When you made the hire, I said, are we going crazy? Anybody that's ever had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay now is a candidate. Take me through the thought process of Cliff Kingsbury of, the difference between college and the NFL. It maybe isn't the gap of college basketball and the NBA, but it's still a gap in coaching. What was the epiphany or the moment you decided to go with this young coach?
Well, I think we went through a long process, and Michael Bidwell and I spent a lot of time on it. We did our research, and to me, we could have gone for another offensive coach that was already in the National Football League that didn't have a lot of experience calling plays. The one thing you can say about Cliff Kingsbury is he's called plays for 8 years, and he's done it at a high level. I think there were only 2 years of his 8 where he was in college football where he had less than 500 yards per game average, which is unbelievable. Not only that, is he's done a fantastic job developing quarterbacks of all kinds. People from Case Keenum to Patrick Mahomes to Johnny Football. He has done a lot of good things with different style quarterbacks. To me, he puts guys in a position to succeed and to cater to their strengths. So there were a number of things that really excited us about Cliff, aside from just the swag and the confidence that he has. And we knew that regardless of which coach we put in place, we would have to surround them with a quality coaching staff. And to me, you start and you look up front with Sean Kugler, one of the better offensive line coaches in the National Football League, and Vance Joseph, who, you know, had a tough stretch at the Denver Broncos as the head coach, but has a great past career as a defensive coach under Wade Phillips and did a nice job in Miami as their defensive coordinator. So we have a lot of guys with experience that he can certainly lean on, but there's no doubt in my mind that Cliff can be very innovative and creative as our offensive play caller.
If you made your mind up yet on what you're going to do with the number 1 pick, do you know what you're going to do with it?
No. No, I mean, you know, there are 57 days for us to put a plan in place. You know, this part of the process is extremely critical because we have a chance for the first time to get to know these players as people, which I've said many times over and over. It's the most important part of the process. We come away from Indy with the medical information and we get to know the person, which, again, to me is all about what makes these guys great pros. We can see the athleticism and the skill set on tape. What you can't judge is the heart and the mind, and this is an opportunity for us to dig.
Have you been called yet about the number 1 pick by another team or teams?
I have not yet, but I'm sure that will pick up here shortly.
Would you call out? Would you initiate the contact eventually?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. And I have to ask you point blank. Is there a possibility that you could see yourself picking a quarterback at 1?
I can't foresee that right now. Again, we know that this is a process we have to go through. And again, I think that what Josh showed us last year on and off the field makes me extremely comfortable that he's our quarterback moving forward.
Steve Keim, Cardinal GM, Executive of the Year 4 years ago. This is a tough league. His division now has become rough. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, Jared Goff, Sean McVay, Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan. And Arizona's trying a little bit of a rebuild, not completely, because there are some parts there we like. And Steve, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, Colin. Always great to be on.
All right. Yeah, they got real pressure there in Arizona. And that division is now brutal. Like, brutal.
Well, at least he was honest about them not knowing what they want to do with their first pick yet. And they shouldn't. They've had enough time to still do some evaluation and haven't even had the combine yet. That's why all these talks about Kyler Murray going #1 overall, like, it's a little premature.
I know, but it's fun.
It is fun. But it's very premature.
Okay. All right. I just had a lot of fun there. I like to poke. No,
we should poke. That's.
You can make an
you're
argument. Absolutely
right. He has a lot. They have a lot of holes to fill.
You can make an argument. How do I solve quarterback production and offensive line woes in one move? Get a guy that can move. I mean, and there's a lot of that ball, that momentum ball for Kyler Murray. It is rolling. It may just roll to #1. It is moving now. This is very exciting. Yesterday, Joel Klatt proclaimed him the greatest player of all time. So, I mean,
I mean, that's what I heard.
Joy with the news.
No.